It's Sunday, and today's episode is on things I didn't expect moving into the big city, specifically New York City. And before I get into today's podcast, I will do the usual high-low Buffalo. So from the past week, my high was FaceTiming my best friend. She's like my favorite person in the entire world. Natalie and I barely talk though. We just text once in a while, but when we do talk, it's so nice and she understands me on another level. And for my low this whole week was really unexpected. It was just a whole thing. I randomly got sick on Tuesday. I was fine on Monday and then I woke up with a congested nose and I just felt literally so fatigued. It was just really weird. I was sick for the rest of the week. And then on top of that, I got my period in the middle of the week. So I was just being attacked and my body was just not having it. And then on top of all of that, the cherry on top, I had such a busy work week, which is so weird and out of the norm for me. So I was juggling everything and trying to not fall asleep and pass out during the day. On Friday, if you follow me on Instagram, then you know what I'm about to talk about. But I had this one meeting that was originally scheduled before 1:30, and I had family visiting that day. So my plan was to kind of finish my day early on Friday because I didn't have anything else, and then go hang out with my cousins who are visiting. But the girl that I was having this meeting with just kept rescheduling this 1:30 meeting. And she moved it from 1:30 to 3:30. And then she was sorry, I'm really busy. So she moved it again and she moved it to 4:30. And I was Jesus Christ, 4:30 on a Friday? Are you serious? But fine. I'm committed to a 9 to 5, I guess. That's what they pay me for. So I was going to wait anyways. And then finally 4:30 came and I get into the meeting and this girl doesn't even show up. I was literally fuming. If you guys had seen me, I was so pissed. At 4:45, I left the meeting, but I was just so mad. And I got to my dinner late, an hour late, because I had to get ready and everything. And when I was walking to the dinner, I was walking so quickly and I just had the worst bitch face. I was so angry. If anyone touched me while I was walking, I was literally ready to fight. But anyways, and for my buffalo, I had a buffalo just come up yesterday, but I'm going to do a whole thing on it in another episode, and it does have to do with Hinge and stuff, so be on the lookout for that. I'm going to talk about a different buffalo. There's this nightmare that I have reoccurringly, and I had it again this week, and it's just the weirdest nightmare, but I just cannot drive in my dreams, and every time I get into the car, I drive like a lunatic, and for some reason, the road, instead of being 180, flat, it always turns into a 90-degree road where it just goes straight up from the ground. And every single time I drive up on that road. So I'm going up vertically like a roller coaster, basically. And then every single time I accelerate super fast and then I fall over the road. And it's just the weirdest dream. And I don't understand why I keep having dreams where I just can't drive and I drive on this really weird road. I don't know. I feel maybe other people out there might be bad drivers when they're dreaming. Hopefully the audio doesn't sound too drastically different, but I'm using my friend's mini mic, which I should get one of these. It's so cute. Anyways, I'm at this random bus stop in Brooklyn, and I didn't have time to record this podcast episode, but I wanted to get it in by tonight. So here I am. Okay, before I get into the major things that I didn't expect about living in New York City, I'm going to talk about the difference between living in LA and New York, because both of them are cities. Easily, I can say they're so different from each other. It's like comparing an apple to a banana. It's just so different. First off, in LA, the transportation is horrible. The only option that you really have in LA to get around is a car, and that freaking sucks. Even driving sucks. The car traffic there is like no other. There are days when my parents would pick me up from UCLA to go back home, and normally it's a 45-minute drive, but with LA traffic as it is, it took me 2 hours, 3 hours to get home, which is insane. And 90% of the time, it's like traffic that isn't moving, which is the worst type. But then in New York, it's a little bit better because you do have car traffic, but you have multiple modes of transportation, which is like the subway and the bus system. And it is literally a blessing. I love it so much. The fact that I don't have to worry about a DD, designated driver, whenever we're drinking is so nice. At 2 a.m., somehow, some way, shape, or form, we get home safely, even though we're literally delusional and gone, which is really nice. Yes, the New York subway system and bus system isn't the most perfect. Like, for example, on the weekends, it just goes to shit. Like this weekend, the L train isn't really working, so I had to take the G to get to Brooklyn. And the L train is usually the main way to get to Brooklyn from Manhattan. And this weekend it's just under construction. And usually in the weekends there's a lot of construction and things going on with the subway. So like it's not even working. Also, the New York subway system is so dirty and it's unsafe and there's crazy people there. I am always super hyper aware whenever I'm in the subway because I don't know if I'm going to get pushed, if someone's going to harass me, and it's fun. Yeah, there's a lot of cons to it, but it's amazing overall. Like, I'm so grateful to have that transportation system. Okay, this one's a little bit controversial, but I stand by it fully. LA's food is way better than New York. Like, you're not really missing out on much. Yeah, New York is only good for brunch, Italian, bagels, and Mediterranean food. Everything else you can get just as good or even better in LA, especially Mexican food. And all you can eat is way more affordable over there. The fact that I can go to a taco stand when I'm in LA to get $1 tacos is amazing. And the all you can eat is so much more affordable and it's so common in LA. Like Korean barbecue is super common. Another difference between LA and New York is that I feel like majority of the people in LA are very superficial and they're known for being like nice when they first meet you, but behind your back they're really rude and they talk a lot of crap. New York City, it's very different. It's a lot more nitty and gritty, real, down to earth. That's how I feel like. It's also the same with their restaurants and like the places and things like that. They're just very modern and like perfect and clean, Instagrammable places. But I like places with culture, hole in the walls. Another thing is there's actually a crap ton of parks in New York City, way more than I feel like in LA. Every few blocks, you're gonna have some type of park of varying sizes, let me say, because some parks are like very, very small. They're always packed with people. I feel like when I'm back in LA and I'm going to a park, I'm the only one at the park. Maybe there's like that one kid swinging with their parents and stuff, but like there's really nobody else. But then in New York City, there's like so many people. It makes the park way more enjoyable to like have people around you. Didn't expect that for sure. Finally, New York City taxes. New York City has a thing called a city tax. So, on top of your state tax and your federal tax, you have to pay city tax, which does not exist in LA. Okay, generally, some unexpected things about New York. First is that it's so hard to get good sleep here. I invested in some earplugs, and that's how I fall asleep every single night. Majority of the apartments are really close to big streets, so like 95% of them, I bet, like will always hear trucks blaring their horns, people blasting music at 2 3 a.m. I've woken up to that so many times. Also, there's way less, I saw a lot more police when I was living in LA than I do here, and I don't know why. I thought they would be more police here, but I really don't see many here. And on top of that, when they're in the subway, like if they ever are in the subway, they never do anything. They just exist. And even though people do a bunch of like weird crap, the police don't do anything. Another thing that I didn't expect, I really like nature. And coming to New York, I was a little bit nervous about whether or not I would need to be around nature and whether or not I would lose my mind because I wouldn't be around nature as much while in the city. But I realized I actually don't need to be. Nature areas are actually super accessible. It's so easy to go to Central Park from where I live, to go to the water, upstate New York, and again, there's so many parks. So nature is actually pretty accessible here. It's just not as like obvious as, trees on the street. It's more of like these patches of greenery and then concrete jungle like New York is known for. Another thing, I didn't realize like how many communities you can stuff into one area. New York City is really cramped and it's pretty small, but there's so many types of communities and areas that you can get to so quickly. In one day, I can walk like 15 minutes from, for example, Chinatown to like Chelsea, and it will be like a completely different environment. In like Chinatown, it's like much more a bunch of food stalls, mom and pop stores, like everyone's just crowded around different like stalls and stuff, and it's a little bit more dirty. But I mean, I love it so much. And then you can go 15, 20 minutes to Chelsea, and it's literally like a European high-end city with a lot more like cobblestone brick buildings and high-end stores with people dressed in very classy, sophisticated fashion. And it's just like a whole different world. And then you can go another 15 minutes to East Village, which has like a bunch of like 20-year-olds that are dressed in streetwear, and there's a bunch of like trinket stores and color, and it's crazy, and it's like so nice because I get bored pretty easily. So the fact that there's like almost in a way multiple worlds in like one area is really cool. Another thing that I didn't expect is that even though there's millions of people here and it feels like I see millions of people a day, it is still super freaking hard to date and make friends. It doesn't matter how many people you stuff into one area, it's just as hard to make friends and date anybody. I talked about this in the past, but I thought that when I would come here, I would have a very different experience. But obviously, it's exactly the same as if I were to live in like a rural area, in a suburban area. And also, people just don't really come up and talk to you anywhere. And also, like, if you ever do talk to random strangers, it's like very unlikely that you will continue the conversation and be close to them. Everything in New York City closes so freaking late, and this is not normal. Like, I went to Santa Barbara one time, and everything there closes so early. Even their Target closes at like 8 p.m. and it's quiet after 9 p.m. But then here in New York, you can go to a deli, you can get pizza at like 3 a.m. in the morning, and you'll be like 4 in the morning, and everyone is still like packed, and it's like it's daytime. Okay, last few things. The norm in the city is loud. So I didn't realize like how loud it was and how like normal it is until I went back home and I was like, wow, this is so quiet. And I was trying to go to bed, but I literally couldn't because it was so silent in my room. And I will notice it immediately if I'm walking through the city and it feels slightly more quieter than normal. I'll be like, why is it so quiet all of a sudden? Anyways, fun fact, I had to record this podcast like 2, 3 times. And even this ending section where I'm saying bye to you guys, I'm recording separately because I don't know if you guys could tell. I'm so sorry if the audio for this podcast episode is so shit. But when I was recording it at the bus station, there was this random girl who decided to come over and sit next to me, and she was talking on the phone, which is so annoying. She just was talking so loud, even though she saw me holding a mini mic. And it's like, what the hell? And she pulls out a cigarette and starts smoking towards the end of the episode, but my voice started getting really raspy because I was inhaling her smoke. That's a little behind the scenes for the production of this episode. Have a good rest of your week, guys. Bye.